All right, all right, all right. Buffs Nation, what is going on? Hopefully, you guys are having a great start to your week. It is Tuesday, and by now, I mean, you know that this is around the time that BurdsEyeView and I normally get together. So, Bird, man, really appreciate your time. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Definitely appreciate you having me on as always, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's get into before we dive into the big news about Travis Hunter, man. Haven't had a chance, to talk yet about your feelings on the game on Saturday. What were some of the highlights for you? Some things you enjoyed. 4 wins now, man. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Defying all the odds. I know ESPN had us at 3.5 for wins, so
Yeah.
got that 4 wins. Definitely secured that bag. So, yeah. As far as the Arizona State game, Javon Antonio coming out party. We finally got to see Javon Antonio, live up to the hype. Of course, he was expected to have these type of performances throughout the season. Hadn't seen it yet, but we finally got to see it against Arizona State. He had that huge catch on the game-winning drive. I wish he could have stayed on his feet there, but it is what it is. We still won the game.
Yeah.
Of course, Mata took care of business. Mata, he don't miss. And we see there. I mean, we love that, man. You love Mata, even going back to Jackson State. And defense, we did have 5 sacks, so I did like that. We were able to get the field. So defense, played well. Of course, Roger Ward, he continues to play well. Also, had a lot of tackles in this game as well. So had a tackle for loss there too. So defense, showed up when we needed them to. As far as offense, Anthony Hankerson was still toting the football pretty well. Of course, we got to protect Shador a little bit more. He still gave up 5 sacks. We still had 5 sacks on offense. It's like every week. I know he's tired at this point, so we still got to protect Shador a little bit more. But overall, we got the win. We didn't win it the way we want to, but an ugly win is better than a pretty loss, so we'll take it.
Oh yeah, man, no doubt. I'm never gonna apologize for any wins. It feels great to be where we're at right now with 4-2, and yeah, man. It didn't look very clean at times, but man, there were still some great takeaways and things to enjoy in this game. Like you called out, like seeing a guy like Javon Antonio get pulled off the field against USC because he's not on the same page with Shador. For him to respond in this game in the clutch, like how can you not love a story like that? It was so great to see him really step up when we needed somebody to. And like you said, man, with Mata coming in there, we've had so many issues or, consistency issues with special teams and him, making those 2 kicks. Those were the 2 longest kicks that he's made in his career, if I remember correctly. So, it's insane. It's insane. And, I think that this is a confidence builder, for this team. Whenever you can go out and get a victory on the road, it means a lot. And you were talking about the defensive line, man. Shout out to Coach Mo because our defensive line, it didn't do much in the first half, but the second half, man, we were menacing. We really got out there. I think all of our sacks came in the second half, and it was clear that Arizona State faded, in their home environment. First before we did, which is just so impressive with the conditioning.
Exactly. Yeah, I've noticed that too. With some of the teams we played, we don't cramp up as nowhere near as much as some of these other teams do. So I mean, that's kudos to the strength and conditioning strength and conditioning staff, Coach Mo. They do a phenomenal job with our guys, and we can't thank them enough for that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's go ahead and get into the big piece of news. This was a shocker to me. I feel like when I was going live or something, somebody let me know that this was happening. I didn't even see it happen. But Travis Hunter, he's out there practicing in just a normal jersey, not even a no contact, man. What are your thoughts on all this?
It looks like he's going to play. When I saw him come back in the first day he's back in practice, he doesn't even have the non-contact jersey on. I'm like, okay, he's clear for contact. He's not just clear to be out there. He's clear for contact. So I mean, when you're clear for contact, I mean you're clear to play. So I'm thinking we're going to get a glimpse of Travis Hunter. Without question, he looked good in practice. He looks like he hasn't missed a beat at all. So I feel like we'll get a well-needed boost on both sides of the football with Travis Hunter coming back. And then we get a bye week after that, so he gets to rest up a little bit more. So I think Travis plays this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Coach Prime said, if I saw this little snippet correctly on Twitter with his presser, I haven't watched it yet, but he was saying that Travis is cleared, and he should be able to play this week. And I mean,
Yeah.
just a tremendous boost. We cannot let this one get away from us. We have to take care of business against Stanford, and having a guy like Travis Hunter out there. One, it's been impressive that we've been able to get to 4-2 without him. Credit to the team, credit to Shador, the staff for getting us to where we are right now. But man, I feel like he takes us up just a whole nother level on both offense and defense. How does this really change and benefit us going against Stanford?
So I mean, honestly, when you get your best guy back on both sides of the football, I mean, of course, it's going to up your game. It's going to up our level of play without question. I strongly feels like it's going to really help our defense. I mean, our offense, we have so many weapons on offense right now, but I feel like it'll really help our defense out a lot as far as being able to kind of get back to where we were when we had Travis. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, we'll have a takeaway here or two there against Stanford. But on the offensive side of the football, I mean, he's super explosive. There's nobody like him. And I mean, Shador having his, number one target back, I mean, that's also uplift as well. I feel like, Coach Sean Lewis is going to be able to kind of open up the playbook completely because when you lose your best guy, they have a lot of plays that involve Travis, where Travis is the number one read. So now you kind of, you're able to have your full, open playbook back now. So I feel like we'll really see an uplift on both sides of the football, and maybe we can get that complete dominant performance from offense, defense, and special teams that we haven't seen yet. We just keep getting pieces, and so we want to get it all together, and hopefully we get that against Stanford.
Yeah, man, I feel like we continue to get teased right now, and we see this team play, a core and a half of just fantastic football, and waiting for this moment for them to put it all together. I think Coach Prime with his post game presser, um, his patience, for this is up clearly. And so, yeah, we got to hope. I'm done predicting when it's going to happen, but I got to hope that, this is what happens this game against Stanford, that we put it all together. There's a lot of things in this matchup that go in our favor. And like you said, man, with Travis, everything changes. The coverages that they're going to have to play are different. We've seen this with some of our opponents that we've had recently with Travis out. It's like you don't necessarily need to devote like a ton of attention to one particular weapon. You can bring more guys, get more pressure, stall out our offense. With Travis, he's not a guy that you can ignore, and he opens up the offense, for everybody. And yeah, it's tremendous with the defense as well. Stanford's got some tall wide receivers, kind of similar to TCU. I don't feel like they're as talented as what they had at TCU, but Travis can lock down those guys. I think he can take away, their primary wide receiver, and then it's going to be up to us to cover some of their tight ends. They're going to come in here, even though we did a good job against Arizona State stopping the run. I feel like they are going to try and run the ball, establish the run, go heavy against us. It's going to be a different challenge when it comes to our defense so far.
For sure. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Stanford is known for using their tight ends, right? So we can expect, some tight ends to be involved in this offense for sure with Stanford. So, of course, our safeties, our linebackers are going to have to definitely cover for this game without question. But they're going to try to run the football, right? I mean, teams, going to try to run the football as much as they possibly can against us. And we still got to stop those crossers. We still got to stop those underneath crossers. We still got to find a way where we can scheme up. Because teams are, everyone's doing it now. Colorado State kind of put out blueprint that game. So now everybody's running crossers, right? And because we play a lot of man. So, of course, that's a tough route to cover in man coverage, right? So, but we got to tackle. Even if you can't stop them from catching the football, you got to still be able to tackle the football. We can't give up the big yardage after the ball is caught. So I feel like, we'll still be okay as long as we tackle, we play disciplined football, and we do what we're supposed to do to win a football game.
Yeah, no doubt. When it comes to defending these crossers, again, I'm just a keyboard coach. That's what I always call myself. So not a professional by any means, but wondering your thoughts on like what are some things we can do to stop these crossing routes. What are some things that you think maybe Charles Kelly, Coach Prime, the defensive staff are talking about? Is it mainly just playing press up against these guys, getting these guys, stopped on their breaks out of their routes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it, especially with us playing a lot of man, right? So we don't play a lot of zone coverage. So with us playing a lot of man, I mean, you're gonna have to get your hands up on the wide receivers without question for sure. And
Mhm.
I mean, those crosses are still tough to cover regardless, right? It's still a tough route to cover. Something similar to a slant. I mean, it's a tough route to cover. It's a route where you got to come up and tackle the football, right? Even if you can't make a break on the football, you still got to be able to tackle. And you notice a lot of our like when we play Colorado State, when we play some of these other institutions, even when they're catching those crossers, we're missing the tackle. We're right there to make the tackle, but we're missing the tackle. So that's the main thing too. You got to be able to tackle, because if you don't tackle, we're in man coverage. You're pretty much the only guy there. So I mean, that's why you're seeing these huge gains off these crossing routes, because everyone's already downfield. Most of the time, teams when they're running these underneath crossers, the outside guys are clearing out. So they're taking the DBs all the way down the field. The safeties are covering over the top. So you got to be able to tackle the football underneath. So I feel like, of course, Coach Kelly coming from Alabama, Coach Prime being the Hall of Famer DB that he is, and the great, coaching staff that we have, they're doing everything they need to do to put our guys in a position to make plays and be successful. I feel like, it comes down to us just on the field actually making the plays and being able to get the hands on the receivers and actually tackling the football when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think with this secondary, with this defense, man, we've taken strides. Like, we've made improvements in certain areas. Like I said, like, we did a lot better job at stopping the run. Again, it's been a few days since I watched the game, so
Yeah,
we did miss a few open field tackles, but overall, like, I felt like we did a good job of containing their playmakers against Arizona State. It's all about just putting this together, and with such a young secondary, I mean, yeah, like, we've seen Carter Stoutmeyer and both Cormine and McLean have their moments. We've seen them, have I don't know if you call these freshman moments, but it's like, yeah, like, sometimes these guys are gonna get beat. That's what happens. This is football, but
for sure.
I think we're gonna see the secondary continue to improve, and I would love to see us stop any of these crossers. To me, I feel like we mentioned the tight ends a little bit. The last time that we had big usage of the tight end going against us, probably, I guess, Colorado State. They had a tight end that really played well against us, and then TCU had a couple of those big tight ends that, like,
Yeah,
really just gave us some trouble, man. So yeah, hopefully we're able to stop that this time around, because I feel like that's going to be an area that they attack against us.
for sure.
In your mind, man, like, what do we need to do to counteract that? Do we want a linebacker? Do we want more star position players out there? What are your thoughts?
Gotcha, absolutely. I feel like this would be a great matchup for a guy like Brendan Gant, right? A guy that kind of
Yeah.
plays over position, came in out of high school, was a four-star safety, all-American safety coming out of high school. Now he's, kind of that hybrid linebacker type of deal. So I feel like this is a game for him and for Shiloh. I mean, our safeties, which is a really, really strong for us, are going to have to make plays against their tight ends, right? So
Mhm.
TCU that tight end that they had, we was number 19, like 6'7". He may be the best tight end we may have seen all season.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that we're a little bit better. I don't think Stanford has a guy that's quite as good as he is. But as long as our linebackers, which have been playing well, right? As long
Yeah.
as Jude, as long as Gant, as long as our safety, Shallow, Roderick Ward has been playing extremely well, Cam, Sim, and Craig can make plays against these tight ends, we should be fine. Our defensive line is really starting to pick it up a little bit. I feel like they're starting to hit that extra gear, right? And it's starting to click a little bit more. So that's going to help us also too. Being able to get in the backfield with only rushing four, only
Yeah.
having blitzing one, not having to blitz multiple guys. So I feel like we'll be fine as far as covering these tight ends. It's just going to be up to our safeties and our linebackers to make plays.
Man, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, with the defensive line, man, that was great to see. Again, their pressure in the second half against Arizona State. I feel like some of our younger guys, are starting to, make some more consistent plays and moments for us. Amari McNeil, Bishop Thomas. Has there been anybody else on the defensive line that's really been standing out for you?
Absolutely, yeah. McNeil has definitely been standing out. Of course, Bishop. We love to see what Bishop was able to do on that kickoff. I mean,
Yeah, that was crazy.
that was wild. To even see a guy like Bishop Thomas, a 300-pounder on kickoff, is already crazy enough. For him to be that athletic, you just don't see it that much. But I mean, Arden Walker played well. He got a
Yeah.
sack well. So I'm loving the way Arden Walker's been playing. Of course, Taj Austin, playing extremely well as well too. He's tough to block. Jordan Dominic has been Jordan Dominic ever since he stepped on the field. So of course we want to see a couple more guys kind of get in there. We still really haven't seen sy'veon Smalls have that kind of breakout performance yet on the field. So former 5-star, we kind of wait for him to click. Derek McClendon, he's still one of those type of guys that can really change a game, and we're kind of still waiting on that type of game for him because he has that in his toolbox. He has that in his bag. But I really feel like this defensive line, man, is they're clicking at the right time because we need them to click coming down the end of the stretch of this season. So I feel like we're going to be fine as long as we continue to keep guys healthy.
Yes, and we're going to need them because, again, against Stanford, right now, this is probably the last matchup that we have where we're coming into any of these matchups as a significant favorite. And, it's important that we play complete ball against all these teams coming up. But, man, you bring up some great points, about sy'veon Smalls, about Bishop Thomas. And it's kind of got me thinking a little bit about the offensive line and like how to protect Shedeur a little bit more. Obviously, man, this game against Arizona State might have been the second worst game, man. We saw them play this past weekend, compared to Oregon. But the interior of our line, specifically, I feel like was constantly folding. I've wondered, even though we'd only have like 3 guys running routes or whatever, if we just bring in a tight end or a Bishop Thomas, as an extra blocker, or sy'veon Smalls who played tight end at high school, bringing him in to block a little bit, you think we might see some more of these max protect sets, or, what do you think is the key this week to making sure, man, that there's a change in our productivity and protecting number 2?
Right, absolutely. I feel like it's going to depend on what we do with Alton McCaskill, because Alton McCaskill in the run game could be a strong difference maker for us to the point where it's a little bit easier for us to complete passes, right? And it kind of makes it on the offensive line as well. Now, when it comes to just strictly to the offensive line, I mean, we just got to be better. At the end of the day, you just got to be better. I mean, we need guys to be able to step up there and just say, hey, I'm not going to get beat today. And that's what it just has to be. And we really haven't had that mindset as an offensive line all season. Of course, it hurt with sy'veon Washington not being out, not being able to play. He was out. I'm not sure if he's going to play for the Stanford game. Probably won't. So somebody has to step into that right tackle role. I know it was Reggie Young, the Liberty transfer. Probably wasn't his best performance, but it wasn't the worst that we've seen all season. So I just honestly feel like maybe we could possibly see a few more sets here and there as far as like max protecting. But honestly, it's not really what coach, it's not really what he wants to do. It's not really what coach wants to do. He doesn't want to do it clearly. I mean, we're this far into the season, we haven't seen it really. So obviously it's not what he wants to do. So that's okay. But we got to be a little bit better as far as our intermediate short game when it comes to being able to complete some of these passes and getting the ball quickly out to our explosive weapons. I mean, we got weapons all over the place, right? So I feel like we need to use Dylan Edwards a little bit more as opposed to just running them up the middle. I mean, that's almost pointless at this point. We got to get a little bit more creative with Dylan Edwards for sure. Now, of course, you can't make it obvious every time he comes on the field. We're running this type of play or this type of read. Can't make it obvious. So, but still at the same time, I feel like we just got to be better up front. I mean, we got a quarterback who's leading the nation in passing yards, and he's also leading the nation in being sacked. I mean, it's the craziest thing you can think of right now. That doesn't even sound right. He's got sacked the most, but he has the most passing yards. I mean, imagine how many more passing yards he can have if he can just get the ball out of his hand and not get hit on the ground, So we just got to be better. And we just need the offensive line. Somebody on that offensive line, if it's Coach O'Boyle, I mean, somebody has to step up and just say, hey, man, listen, we're not going to get beat. We're not going to let 2 get hit, and we're going to keep him upright, and we're going to be okay. So hopefully we can get that this week against the Stanford matchup.
Yeah, you're totally right. Sometimes I feel like it's just a mentality thing, like Coach Prime kind of alluded to it in his post-game presser about how, no one noticed or was fired up on the offensive line, when Shedeur made that run, trucked over that guy and was like firing everybody up. And it's like, we need to just have a nasty mentality on that offensive line. And again, I'm not in the coaching room, I'm not making these decisions, but I I want to see Jack Wilty. I want to see some of these other guys, man, get their shot. Kareem Harden, Jeremiah McCrinnon, Isaiah Jada. We got some guys that I think can play with a little bit more of that mean streak. I know that you want to give these guys the offensive line time to gel,
Yeah.
but man, when sometimes you're getting pushed back into Shador during his drop back, he doesn't even have time to go to his first progression. Um, who cares what the communication's like if you're just getting beat that bad?
Right.
Man, it's something's got to change. And I don't know. I don't have sources, but based on how Coach Prime was talking, I mean, you got to think that some more changes are coming up front, right?
I would think so too. I would think so. It's tough because it's like, okay, if they haven't played yet, what are they doing in practice, right? So it's kind of, you kind of look at it from that standpoint. It's like, all right, maybe they're not showing enough in practice, but at the end of the day, I mean, it can't be much worse than what we've already seen. I mean, he's pretty much sacked like 5 times a game at this point. So I mean, at this point, right? I mean, you could try anything, right? Now I get it. The offensive line is a cohesive unit. That is true. I mean, they're 5 guys that literally work together as one to make everything kind of go well. So it's tough rotating offensive linemen in and out, mixing and matching every game. It's tough to do that. It really is. But for the most part, Van Wells has been really good at center. For the most part, he's been well. Tank has had his ups and downs at left tackle.
Yep.
But like I said, when it comes to the run game, the reason why we can't run is the interior offensive line. I mean, it's your guards, right? That's the main thing. And of course, we're going to see exactly what's going to transpire with our offensive line. We do, like you said, we do have more offensive line weapons, right? That transferred in that are big, that are physical. We just got to be able to see if they can actually gel together, and Coach Prime actually trust them, and Coach O'Boyle trust them to put them on the field. And if it, keep Shador Sanders upright, we'll be okay.
Yeah. And I think, like, looking back to the Arizona matchup, like, if I remember correctly, I think that they're running kind of a lot of 4 down lineman sets, which we haven't seen a lot this year.
Yeah.
I think with Stanford, we'll see more of that 3-3-5 type look that we've seen throughout the majority of the year. But regardless of how many down linemen you have, man, we gotta protect 2. It's amazing he's been able to make it through the season right now healthy, with as many hits as he's taken so far. And he has to be the number one priority, because we have no shot to win any of these games moving forward, without him back there. So that has to be a priority. I would like to see the run game emphasized more. Wrench Beater, kind of funny name, brought this up. We need to put our nose into the ground, play some damn football. It's like we just need to get out there and establish the run. We need to get our offensive linemen kind of within that. We need to kind of activate that dog mentality for them, since it's not kind of happening, off the bat. Sometimes getting in a rhythm, having some success, run blocking, kicking some butt, pancaking some guys, that can give you that kind of confidence, that drive, that charisma to go do it. But what else would you do to try and get this offensive line going?
Honestly, you hit it right on the head when you say the confidence. I feel like it's the confidence piece, because everyone right now is talking about how bad this offensive line is, right? And I know the players, they hear that. I mean, everyone's talking about the weakest pretty much unit on this Colorado football program is the offensive line, right? So, and they're talking about, we need to get some transfer guys in here, this, that, and the third. A lot of the guys that are here that are playing now not going to be playing next year. Of course, these guys hear that, right? And I know, it's kind of demoralizing, right, to your confidence. But it's, you got to have that chip on your shoulder where it's like, okay, we're going to go out here and prove why Coach Prime believed in us, why he brought us in here, in the first place. I mean, we're guys that had success at our previous institutions. Even though we're playing at a high level now, it's a reason why we're here. We're here for a reason. And I just feel like it's going to take one game. Sometimes it only takes one game for that offensive line to click and for these guys to really get that confidence booster. So I feel like maybe this could be that game where Shador doesn't get touched, right? Or maybe he gets touched one time, and it's like, okay, we can actually do this, right? This is how it's supposed to look, and you can actually see it on film. And like, okay, once you see yourself doing it the correct way, consistently, all right, this is how it's supposed to be done. So I'm just hoping, and at this point, praying that we can get this done, and we can keep Shador Sanders upright, and he can do what he does best.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think this is going to be an important game for us to finish off the first half of our season very strong before we hit that bye. And then you got to hope, that's my hope, that we correct some of these consistency issues, not only this week against Stanford, but in the bye, implementing some more stuff. We kind of treat it like an extra week of training camp. Again, like, you can only implement so much up front before the season when literally everything is new. And so this bye week is going to be incredibly crucial going in to a matchup against UCLA that is going to be tough. They run the football, they have a stout defense, but it is winnable. If we play to our potential, totally feel that way. MA had this that I wanted to ask you, Bird, kind of moving
Okay.
into the second half of the season.
Yeah.
How do you feel CU finishes right now? Kind of what is your expectation?
Absolutely. So of course it's going to be tough on that back half stretch, right? It's going to be tough. We got the Oregon State matchup at homecoming. Of course, we got the UCLA matchup, right? We still have Utah on the schedule as well, Washington State, right? I mean, we're going to have some teams that are really, really good. Honestly, I feel like we can win 8 games. Now, of course, it's going to be tough. We're going to play some good football, which we can do. It's not like we're far-fetched saying that we don't have the talent, we don't have the coaching staff. We have everything in place to win 8 games, right? To win 4 more games. That starts against Stanford. That could be win 5. I think UCLA is win 6. Now, when you're talking about 7 and 8, you're going to have to beat a good team. You're going to have to beat either Utah or Washington State or Oregon State. You're going to have to beat one of these teams, right? Now, I feel like the Oregon State matchup may be a little tough, but it's homecoming. You're at home. It's homecoming. It's going to be an electric environment. That is the one that you can really steal. The toughest one I feel like coming down the line is going to be that Utah matchup. It's their senior day. It's at Utah. Their senior day. They're going to have all that riding. So that'll be the toughest matchup. But I strongly believe this team can win 8 games and win 9 when you count the bowl game.
Oh, yeah. My hope was coming in, man, that we could get 8 games. That was my expectation. And I think we're just right there. Again, as I have said, if we can take the steps forward in consistency, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to win the rest of these games. These games are winnable when we play at our potential.
Yeah.
The problem is that we just haven't seen that put together yet.
Right.
And we got some tough matchups coming up. Utah, especially if Cam Rising is back, that's going to be tough. Oregon State has given us trouble always. They got an interesting defense, but I think, man, if we can get the lead on them here at home, that game's definitely winnable. Washington State, I had us winning that game. That game has me a little bit more nervous now. Washington State had a losing record in conference last year, and they look to be taking a step forward, even with the guys that they've lost in the transfer portal. Hats off to them. So there are no cupcakes. And even Arizona played Stanford close. I don't know if you saw this. They won by 1 point against Stanford. But then the USC game, I mean, they should have had that one, in overtime. I don't get this, man. People just lose aggressiveness in overtime, man. I don't understand. If you're the underdog, why you don't just go for 2 in that first overtime, man. That's how I feel about it. But anyways, I got to be wrapping it up, Bird. I really appreciate your time as always. Do you have like a prediction or score prediction, anything this week for the Stanford game, or just a couple guys that you want to see show out?
Gotcha. A couple of guys definitely want to see show out. I'll keep it quick. Alton McCaskill, of course. Definitely want to see a breakout game for Alton McCaskill. Travis Hunter, if he's able to come back, I want to see Travis Hunter do what he does, right? We want to see Javon Antonio continue to keep on what he's had going on with the Arizona State matchup. Maybe we'll see a little bit more from Omarion Miller. I want to see Komani McClain play better as well. Need to see a little bit better bounce back performance from him. I want to see the defensive line continue to do what they do as far as the safeties and the linebackers as well. As far as the score prediction, right, I'm looking at 38-14 Buffs.
I love it. Yeah, I'm expecting the Buffs to cover, and my hope is that we see Travis Hunter get his first touchdown, as well as see this Buffs team run for over 150 yards, man. I want to see that happen, and we'll see. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Armand, want to let you know my salmon turned out great last night. Thank you. For checking in on that. We'll see what I cook tonight. I don't really know yet. Might go pick up some steaks, but Bird, again, I really appreciate your time as always. We'll link up again here soon. Let my people know, where can they find you at?
Always. You definitely find me on Bird's Eye View here on YouTube. You can find me at BurdsEyeView5 on Instagram. You can also find me at Baseball Driven on Twitter. So that'd be Baseball Driven _ on Twitter. Shout out to Virginia State University. That's the institution where I played college ball at. It's our homecoming this week. So that's why I had to come out there with Virginia State gear on.
Let's go.
And we're undefeated. Our football team is 6-0 right now. We're undefeated. We're rolling. We're nationally ranked, so we're nationally ranked D2 right now. So we're playing some extremely good football. My little brother's on the team. Like I said, he'll be at the Reese Senior Bowls. He's a top level DB right now. I believe he leads like Division II in passes defended right now. So man, shout out Virginia State.
Dude, I love that. And remind me to remind you of when of how all that goes this weekend, man.
Okay.
Because yeah, I love that, man. But Bird, always appreciate your time. Guys, I'll be back later today, I'm sure, at some point. And as always, y'all, Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.